Hello and welcome back to another lesson from English with Greg. In today's lesson, I'm going to teach you 10 phrases and expressions that native speakers never really use. They're all expressions that I'm sure you've learned at school or perhaps in textbooks, but that in modern spoken English, we never really use them anymore. So if you don't want to speak English like a textbook, let's go. Alright guys, I'm Greg. This is my YouTube channel. I teach British English pronunciation and advanced grammar and vocabulary. So if you want to take your English to an advanced level, click subscribe. I give you free videos every Friday on this channel and I would love to have you as one of my students. So today's lesson, we're looking at 10 words that we never use. The reason we never use them and the reason you've learned them is this. It's usually one of two reasons. One, they're a little bit outdated, a little bit old-fashioned. We maybe used them 40, 50, 60 years ago, but we don't really use them nowadays. The second reason why you might be using these phrases and expressions that we never use is because we use them in written English, in a formal situation, but we never use them in spoken English, especially when we're talking informally to people. So yes, these phrases and expressions are all acceptable. They're all correct in English, but I'm just saying that we don't use them in spoken English. Number one is the biggest one. How do you do? How do you do is a greeting that many textbooks teach. Many students have used this to me, how do you do, but really it's an expression that we used maybe 60 years ago, but not anymore. Instead, the most common way of saying this is, how are you? How are you? Are you okay? Are you all right? But never, how do you do? Number two is the answer. I'm fine, thanks. How are you? Now I did a video a while ago on different ways we can answer to how are you. I'm fine, thanks. How are you? It's a bit old-fashioned and there are many more common and modern ways to answer the question, how are you? So after this video, I definitely recommend you watch that video, which will teach you 10 different ways that you can answer to how are you without saying, I'm fine, thanks. Number three is so-so. I remember when little kids were learning English that there were three options. Something was either good, bad, or so-so. But the fact is, we never say so-so. Instead, the most common way is saying not bad. Good, bad, not bad. You could also say all right. That's neither great nor terrible. All right. Okay. It's okay. These are all common expressions, but we never say so-so. The next three are idioms. And students, I include myself in this because I also speak different languages. We love idioms. If you learn an idiom, a real native expression in a foreign language, you feel great. You want to use it. You want to tell the world that you know that idiom in English, right? Because you know that the person you are speaking to will say, wow, how do you know that expression in English? Your English is amazing. It's great. But there are three idioms that people tend to use all the time that when I hear them, I just think, oh, I really appreciate you learning this idiom and I want to tell you how fantastic your English is, but we never say that. The expressions are, I had a ball. I had a ball. It's a really old-fashioned expression and nowadays we just say, I had a great time. I had an amazing time. Hey, how was your holiday in Egypt? I had a ball. Had an amazing time. It was fantastic. But not, I had a ball. The next one is, it's raining. It's raining cats and dogs. Yes, it's a beautiful expression. Yes, it's a beautiful image of it raining cats and dogs instead of water. And yes, it is an English expression. But guess what? We never use it. If you want to really impress a native speaker with idioms, use one of these, which are expressions that we use all the time to say the same thing, which basically means it's raining heavily. The expressions we can use are, it's pouring. It's pouring. If you have a jug of water, you pour it into a glass. Okay, so pouring means obviously a lot of water coming down at once. It's pouring. Two more informal ones are, it's chucking it down. It's chucking it down. Chuck means throw in an informal way. Chuck. So it's chucking it down. Or it's lashing it down. Lash is what you do when you go to the toilet. Again, lots of liquid coming down at once. Now, obviously, this is not very polite, but it's a more polite version of a very, very common expression that we use with a different word instead of lashing. As I've said before, I don't teach bad words on YouTube because my mother watches these videos and I like to keep things clean. And the third one is, I'm on cloud nine. I'm on cloud nine. It means that you are extremely, extremely happy. I'm on cloud nine. And yes, again, it's a beautiful expression, but it's really, really old-fashioned and we never use it in spoken English. Now we can say I'm happy or I'm very happy, but it's better to use a different adjective which means very, very happy. For example, thrilled. I am thrilled. Or I am delighted. I am delighted. Or I'm so happy. But no, I'm on cloud nine. By the way, finding an adjective like delighted instead of very happy can really make your English sound more advanced. And I did a video up there in which I give you 21 adjectives that we can use instead of saying very, like very good, very bad, very happy, very hungry. Try to use more advanced adjectives to help you speak more advanced English. Right, I hear these next three quite frequently, and the reason we never say these are because they're simply too formal. And yes, there are situations where you need formal English when you are communicating orally, but usually, spoken English is more informal. So, number 7 is, don't hesitate to contact me. Now, this is a great way to end a letter or an email, but when you're speaking to somebody and finishing a conversation, it sounds a bit awkward if you say, don't hesitate to contact me. I mean, what's next? Kind regards, yours sincerely. No, we don't speak like that. Instead, a much more common expression is, just let me know. Just let me know if you need anything. I'll be happy to help. But not, do not hesitate to contact me. That's too formal and not really appropriate for oral communication. The next one is moreover. And if you're writing an essay or a report, it's a great linking word to use to begin a sentence. Moreover, but in spoken English, it's just a little bit too formal. Like, Jill told Andy he was boring. Moreover, she said he was mean. Mean. It's just too formal, and this word does not belong in this type of English. Instead, the most common alternative is also. Also. Jill told Andy he was boring. She also said he was mean. Or also, she said he was mean. Another couple of expressions we can use are as well as that. As well as that, like Jill told Andy he was boring, as well as that, she said he was mean. Or on top of that, on top of that. Jill told Andy he was boring. On top of that, she said he was mean. On top of that. So they are much more appropriate alternatives to use in spoken English. The next one is sir. Sir. When I was at high school, I always had to call the male teachers sir. I've got a question, sir. Can I go to the bathroom, sir? And if it was a female teacher, we used to have to call her miss. Hi, miss. However, when you are speaking to an informal English teacher in an academy, in private lessons, a YouTube English teacher, you don't call them sir. Instead, you just call them by their first name. I know in some cultures this might seem disrespectful, but it's not disrespectful. Teachers like me, informal English teachers, don't expect to be called sir. And it often creates a distance between the teacher and student that we don't want, we don't need, and we don't feel comfortable with. If we're talking about an adult teaching English to another adult, we feel much more comfortable if we are on a first name basis. That means where you call somebody by their first name. And the final one, number 10, is the word trendy. Oh my word, trendy. Trendy was a word which meant cool, stylish, fashionable in the 80s, perhaps, but nowadays it's really not a word we use. Instead, we say that something is cool. Cool is a word that has lasted a long time. I'm sure the kids at school now use other words as well as cool, but with the word cool, you are good. It means good, fashionable, fun, exciting. So don't say that something is trendy. It's just a really outdated word. Trendy. Alright guys, there are the videos I mentioned earlier in this lesson. Watch those next, and I'll see you in the next lesson. Bye for now.